Hi, everybody, and welcome to I Love a Hoarder. I'm your host, Chutney. You know, when I first met DingDing 24 years ago, I thought I had simply stumbled across a charming eccentric, a collector, a lover of whimsy, someone who put a lava lamp in every room of the house. And it didn't feel excessive at the time. It just felt fun, like we were living in some kind of postmodern lava lamp shrine to Peter Max with a B-52's soundtrack. It was childlike, colorful, and playful. And maybe, just maybe, it was a little too youthful too, which made sense because DingDing is 13 years younger than I am. So when you're the older one in a couple, there's sometimes this instinct to lean into the play. You know what I mean? To not be the stodgy parental one. So I gave all this youthful clutter a wide berth. I let it roll. I mean, lava lamps. Why not? That's not hoarding. That's just mood lighting, right? That's how it began, with a lava lamp in every room. Well, that was the opening act, a quirky trait, not a red flag. Wrong! What I didn't realize, what I wouldn't realize until much later, was that I had just caught a glimpse of the very top of a very deep iceberg. As anyone who has ever lived with someone with hoarding tendencies knows, that little glimpse is always the most charming part. The descent is slow, subtle. In fact, if you blink, you might miss it entirely. Okay, so now fast forward a few years. I bought a house. DingDing moved in. That's when the plants started. Plants! At first, it was wonderful. Here was this person who loved gardening, who wanted to take our little patch of earth and make something beautiful. I was thrilled. I even invested in it. Literally. I paid for the plants. DingDing planted hundreds of them, dotting them across the property like green confetti. Herbs and succulents and leafy things with Latin names. It felt lush, abundant, Edenic. Until the day, the twig incident. Now, I will never forget it. I was in the yard and happened to snip a tiny little bit, a twig, from a purple heart plant in the back corner. A corner I didn't think anyone had looked at in a month, and I didn't think anything of it. The next day, DingDing stormed into the house, and I mean stormed. "Did you touch my plant?" I blinked. "I may have. I might have clipped a twig," I said casually. And then came the declaration. It still echoes in my memory like thunder. "Don't touch my plant." With that much heat, that much indignation. I mean, you have to picture me with my jaw clenched and my teeth bared, as if I had, I don't know, kicked a beloved pet or disrespected a sacred object. I didn't know what to say, so naturally, I did what any confused but theatrically oriented person might do. I turned it into performance art. For about a week, every time we passed each other in the house, I'd hiss dramatically, "Don't touch my plant!" I'd clutch invisible pearls. I'd stomp dramatically into the kitchen, toss my head, raise a trembling hand. DingDing would laugh. I would laugh. It was funny. Until it wasn't. Because the "don't touch my plant" moment was, I realize now, the moment a line had been crossed. I just didn't know it yet. So, in the spirit of support and optimism, I did what any loving, semi-oblivious partner might do. I built DingDing a potting bench, an 8-foot-long, custom-built shrine to horticultural love, with shelves and surfaces and space to work. I thought it was romantic, practical, loving. I thought, now we're gardening together. We're building a life. This is what grown-up couples do. When I revealed it, DingDing offered a kind of grunt of appreciation. Not exactly the heartfelt thanks, I imagine. But you know, sometimes people express gratitude in mysterious ways. So I left it alone. Weeks passed, then months. And then one day I walked by the potting bench and realized it wasn't a potting bench anymore. It was a small landfill, piled high with bags of what I can only describe as paper garbage, grocery store flyers, receipts, junk mail, wrappers. I didn't say anything, yet, but a seed had been planted in my brain, and not the kind you water and grow. Now, you might ask, how do you not notice that your entire yard is slowly turning into a plant graveyard? It's a fair question, but it happened slowly, so slowly. At some point, I realized the yard wasn't just full of plants. It was layered with them. 3 layers deep in some places. Dead plants, dried out and brittle, sitting in faded plastic pots, piled one on top of the other like strata in an archaeological dig. If you were a paleobotanist, you could probably carbon date the decline of our relationship by the decomposition rate of the lavender in the 3rd row. And worse, there was this thicket, a massive, impenetrable, ankle-grabbing snarl of shrubs and vines that had grown together in a way that felt sentient, like something out of a Grimm's fairy tale. I couldn't walk across my own yard. There were parts I simply could not tread. It had become DingDing's domain, a kingdom of chaos. And me? Well, I was just the silent gardener, until the day I snapped. I called DingDing into the yard. I was shaking, close to tears. What is happening? I asked. This has to be cleaned up. Now, I cannot live like this. DingDing just looked at me with helplessness, palms up, a shrug, a sigh. That's when I knew it was all up to me. All of it. Well, so what did I do? Well, first it was the sprinklers. I disconnected them. DingDing loved turning them on, soaking the already dead plants almost like a ritual. Disconnected. No more. I made it clear, no new plants without my approval. If something appeared in the yard that I hadn't signed off on, it would vanish. No explanations, just gone. Then I began to dig out. It took 3 months to clear the backyard. Another 2 for the front. Layer by layer, pot by pot, root by twisted root. And when I was done, I built again. Not the wild chaos of DingDing's vision, but a structured garden, peaceful, contained, with ceramic pots only, no plastic allowed, with stone Buddhas and Kuan Yins, fountains, and defined pathways where no plants were allowed to grow. And you know what? It was beautiful. Did DingDing thank me? Of course not. But the silence was its own reward. At least I wasn't being blamed. Unless a plant died, then yes, that was my fault. Recriminations, whining, pouting, trauma, the usual when a plant dies. Sometimes when friends visit and admire the yard, they say, "It must be so peaceful here." Well, I just smile and nod. They don't know what it took, what it still takes. Because, and I say this with deep love and a bit of exasperation, it never ends. Now, not long ago, DingDing discovered brass bells. Beautiful on their own. 1 or 2? Lovely. Spiritual even. But within a month, 100 bells had been acquired. They were multiplying. I stepped in early this time, drew the line, stopped the bell avalanche before it buried us both, because now I know what I'm looking at. I know the signs. Hoarding doesn't always start with boxes and bags and broken lamps. Sometimes it starts with something beautiful, something alive, something that seems harmless. A plant, a bell, a lava lamp. And that's the hard part, isn't it? Because hoarding isn't about stuff. Not really. It's about fear, loss, control, memory, safety, all that stuff. And if I'm honest, I didn't see any of that at first. I just saw someone quirky, fun, a bit messy. I didn't see someone who felt compelled to surround themselves with everything, because letting go meant something deeper, something painful. I didn't see someone who felt compelled to surround themselves with everything, because letting go meant something deeper, something painful. As I learned that, I also had to learn how to hold boundaries, how to protect myself, how to love without enabling, how to clean up the yard without destroying the relationship. And that is a thin line. Today, well, the garden is orderly, peaceful, but there are rules, there is structure. And I still watch, suspiciously. I'm still quietly on alert because, There's no final victory over hoarding. There's only vigilance, compassion, yeah, you gotta have that, and sometimes the courage to say, "Don't touch my sanity." So friends, if you're living with a hoarder or love someone who struggles with these tendencies, know this: you are not alone. You are not crazy, and you are not powerless. But you do need your own garden, your own space, your own order, because love, real love, isn't just about accepting someone's mess. It's also about drawing the line between their chaos and your peace. And on that semi-profound note, I'll say goodbye for now. This is Chutney Whye, signing off from I Love a Hoarder. Remember to like and subscribe. Till next time.